There we go. Sorry, Mr. Brown. Ready now.
Do what?
We're
You
ready.
said-
Tamia had to start the YouTube live link so that the public can see us.
Okay.
Are we doing roll call?
All right, ready now. We can get started. So Mr. Brown can call the meeting to order.
All right, Charles H. Brown here, calling the Finance and Investment Committee meeting to order for the Finance Authority of New Orleans. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, roll call. Chair G. Wade Wooten. Member Charles Brown. Member Hunter Thomas.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Okay, then the first order of business is old business. Have we been able to download the minutes from the previous meeting? Because there's no old business for us to discuss. So is there public comment?
No public comments at this time.
All right. Then looking at the and our acceptance and approval of the June 16th meeting was taken, the July meeting was taken. So we look at the approval of the July 21st, 2020 meeting minutes. I have a comment on that. Looking at those minutes, the financial audit status update, can we review those items? Is that something that has been done? Because it was a 30-day request for contingency on that.
Yeah, we can discuss that. We just need approval of item A. So we would just need a motion from Mr. Thomas, or I believe, I don't know, Jay, procedure, on the procedure side, can Mr. Brown give the motion, or how do we do it with two members present?
Yeah, the chair or the person acting as chair can make the motion. Either of the members present can make the motion. Mr. Brown, on your specific question, I believe that would be addressed under the next item. I'm sorry, the item number 6, Roman numeral 6, financial management report. It will be included under the financial status report. So if you want to if you have any specific concerns on the actual meeting minutes, you can take those now on the substance of those minutes. And if there aren't any changes, you can request a motion or make a motion yourself.
Well, there is a question that I have under other business, which is the last item on that report. And I saw that it was not, and I didn't see it included, the request that I made. I know it's going to be included in the board packet, but as far as the minutes were concerned, I did not see us provide those names, email addresses, contact information. I did see a report, however, that's going to be discussed in our open meeting with the board. I guess that question is to Bianca, and that she prepared the report.
Well, Mr. Brown, that report, that's covered under the programs committee. And there is a status report in the programs packet that covers all of the updates on the numbers. As it relates to names and email addresses, we're not able to release that information because it's public information. But
Okay.
just as we'll talk about it in programs, but the point is we have been reaching out to our partner agencies. We've been working with city agencies as well as nonprofit organizations on letting individuals know about the program. We've done a lot more media blitzing. So we have seen a significant increase in program activity since we met last month, and we have a more substantial update provided in the programs package.
Well, since it is a disbursement of resources, or finances from the Finance Authority of New Orleans, and it was brought up in our Finance Committee meeting, and I can understand that that personal information cannot be shared. However, the community so pool and those resources, and I'm not trying to get ahead of myself, Mr. Burns, but as I said, there were specific questions, and I'm not a part of that committee. And it is a part of the Finance Committee obligation in terms of the resources and accounting for those resources that go in and go out of the Finance Authority. And I understand what you said relative to that personal information. I would never get that. But in reviewing what was sent to me, I did not know whether or not the graduates, in other words, for a person to take advantage of our program, any of our programs relative to down payment and closing cost assistance, an individual would have to. It's mandatory that they attend one of our home buyer training programs. There are 12 agencies that offer the home buyer training program. The request for the Finance Committee was that that's our finance, that's what's going to be going out to the community, that's what's going out in our community. What is the status of those home buyer graduates was our request. Number-wise, whether or not they have been contacted, that they have been made available to the $500 that's available for individuals who's either one, lost their jobs, or number two, had a decrease in the amount of income that they have received. Those graduates would then be in contact with us because those are our clients. Those are the only clients really that we have for our first-time home buyer training program. Therefore, my question was, and it looks like it could have happened, it looks like 403 persons have been contacted. Is that correct, Ms. Bianca?
Yes, Mr. Brown, that's correct. So that's how many people have actually contacted the agency, and requested an application.
All right.
403 applicants. Now, the applicants that you're referencing to, those
Yes, ma'am.
particular people, those particular individuals, they wouldn't qualify for this particular program only because they're now homeowners. This program was kind of catered to the renters. However, we can offer them utility assistance, those current homeowners. But the current guidelines that the board approved only reference to renters
Very good.
at the moment for the $500 assistance. However, those homeowners were contacted to get the utility assistance.
Assistance. Okay, then I guess I'm going to ask the question again. Have all of the graduates of the 12 home buyer training agencies that are the only individual who is available to take advantage of the Finance Authority of New Orleans proceeds from its first-time home buyer program, have they been contacted?
No, the agencies have been contacted, not the homeowners. Not the homeowners at all 12 of those agencies have been contacted. However, the agencies are aware of the program, and as it comes up and someone is in need of the assistance, they do pass on the information.
Then,
But most of those people are employed and they don't qualify at the moment for the assistance.
then my question then would be to the executive director. I'm making a request, sir. Will you not put that on the home buyer training agencies? Will you, as the executive director of the Finance Authority of New Orleans, assure the board that the graduates of the home buyer training agencies be contacted by the Finance Authority of New Orleans, not by putting it on another agency to do it, but the Finance Authority of New Orleans, the responsible agent for dispersing those proceeds to the community? Will you see that the graduates of the home buyer training programs be contacted and be encouraged to take advantage of the community program?
So, Mr. Brown, number one, we can't, the reason why we reach the agencies and not the buyers is because that information belongs to the agencies. So we have to work with them to get to the buyers. And as Ms. Brown stated, this particular program is not a good fit for people that are in the home buying training programs because those people are employed and about to buy a home. The people that are qualified for this particular program, the Community Support Fund, are for those that have actually lost income, lost a job. So in order to qualify, you need to be out of a job. And so those individuals that have graduated and are continuing on to home ownership, we're working with them through our home ownership program. We work with all of the graduates of our own home buyer training program, which we have one on our website. And many people are starting to take our homeowner training program because of COVID and people can't go in for physical training anymore, or at least not at the moment. So we are still reaching those graduates to answer your question. It's just that this particular
That is
program,
my question. That is my question. The graduates,
with that,
are
Mr.
you
Brown, they're
saying to
not
me that,
they're
are you
not-
saying to me?
qualified
Yeah,
for the
wait.
program.
Okay.
What I'm saying is they're not qualified for the program.
Okay.
So we reached
Are
out
you
to
saying-
other programs.
Are you saying to me that since March, April, May, June, and July, and August, 6 months, that there's no graduates in the home buyer training program that have either lost their jobs or have received a reduced salary, because it doesn't say that the person has to have lost their job. It says a reduction in salary, which means a person could be on the stimulus program of unemployment insurance, still be employed, but having lost some of their income as a result of COVID. Are you saying to me that March, April, May, June, July, and August, no one in the home buyer training programs have lost their jobs or had a reduction in income?
Yeah, we've heard from those people, Mr. Brown. That's what Ms. Brown was just saying, that when the home buyer agencies identify someone that is in that category, they send them our way and they apply for our program. So Bianca, if we could do a little more research to see how many people exactly are coming from those 12 home buyer agency programs. But the point is, as people at the home buyer agency that are in their programs, as they identify them and being qualified for the Community Support Fund, they send them our way and then they apply for the program. So we don't have that, we can't get that information unless the home buyer agency gives it to us.
Okay. Well, let me say this to you, sir. I believe you're saying to me that the home buyer training programs will not share with you the graduates' email addresses whereby you can afford them the opportunity that might be available to them from the Finance Authority of New Orleans. Okay, if that's the case, if you're making that statement, I question it. But you're looking at the report, of the 403 people, 138 of them received the applications. 99 of them, the applications were incomplete, which meant that they might need some technical assistance. We denied 166 of those applications. Evidently, you have 166 applications within the Finance Authority of New Orleans that you have denied their application. That's what it looks like to me.
Mr. Brown,
Since,
let me just jump in right fast. 166, that's just, so we've only, those 166, they're out of that 403, but they only requested it. So they didn't follow back up to even complete an application. Those 166, they didn't even complete an application. They're out of compliance. They didn't even follow they may not even have met the criteria. They didn't even start the process. They only contacted us to request it. So only
and
the
you denied
128 are the numbers that have actually submitted.
This report says applications denied.
Yeah, so you have a time frame.
I
You have
put a
10 days to
question
complete
mark.
it.
I'm
You
sorry.
have 10 days to complete your application. If the application is not completed within that time frame, we deny it. That's how the policy was written. So those
Oh.
166, they did not even complete an application. They called
And
us,
get it back to-
contacted us, and
and get it back to
requested
me?
it, and they did not. They did not move forward with completing the application.
Yes. In other words, they
Oh,
will
Mr.
forward an application by email
Yes.
and then and requested to send you the application by email?
No. So once someone contacts us for an application, we do an intake process. Once we complete that intake process, we send them a link. That link contains all the information such as the policy, all the required forms, the application, everything that needs to be submitted to us to move forward. Those people, once they receive that link, they didn't go and set up their accounts to complete the requested information. So at that time, the allowable time frame was 10 days. If it wasn't completed within that time frame, the application was considered denied. Now they
Well,
can
let me tell you
reapply.
what-
We do not stop them from reapplying.
Let me tell you
So
what's
even though
going
they
on
did-
in the
Huh?
community. Let me tell you what's going on in the community, especially in District B. People are saying that our application process is not user-friendly. And I can understand that. I can understand that with the limited amount of computers that's available even in schools now. That's why I asked that we take the lead by sending information to them, providing them with technical assistance, encouraging them to take advantage of this particular program. The report that I have here says that we denied them. And what you're saying to me is they did not get back the application to you within 10 days, I guess online, which is very, very difficult to do during these times. It's even difficult for me to communicate with you online to do our board meetings. That I'm not sure if that's user-friendly, and maybe we should address that. But anyway, 166 people you did send something to. You emailed
Correct.
166 people, right?
Yes,
So you have
correct.
166 applications, okay?
No,
and
just
they would-
166 contacts. They didn't complete the applications.
Contacts by email,
Yes.
all right. Then here again, I'm asking because the bottom line is that we only have 29 people in the city of New Orleans and 12 operating programs that operate homebuyer training agencies that's taking advantage of $500. It's a small amount. I understand it's a small amount, but people are hurting in the community. They need funds. And it is incumbent upon us to be aggressors where they're going through a lot of problems in our community. So we have 166 emails. Then I guess I'm asking Mr. Hunter that a resolution be passed somewhere, or either I'll address the program committee, that we recontact those 166 people, even if it was $500 and we got them to apply. And some of them didn't lose their jobs. Pray God, I hope they didn't lose their jobs, but they might have a reduction in income and they might have been on unemployment and still working. That they be contacted and encouraged. 500 times 50 people, just 50 people. I mean, 166.
Mr. Brown, we'll move forward with contacting those individuals, and we'll contact you directly to discuss this more in depth on the process and how we're
Yeah.
going to move forward with contacting those individuals. So yes, we'll
Okay.
move forward with that process.
Bianca, I'm begging you.
We
to
will.
encourage them.
Uh-huh.
I'm begging you to encourage them to take
But Mr.
advantage.
Brown, understand some of these individuals have moved on because they've been recalled back to work, or now they have another job and they no longer need the assistance. So we will reach out. We will do our due diligence on this side. We'll reach out to them and we will follow up with them.
Are you saying to me that we're not making the program retroactive? If an individual lost it during March, April, May, June, and July, and now back at work, we're going to refuse them?
No, we're not going to refuse them. It's that they
If
just don't
if they can
qualify at the
certify that
moment.
they've been on unemployment and they've lost their jobs, they should be eligible for our program. We don't have to
Yeah.
penalize them for going back to work. We should
No,
encourage
we're
them to
not.
continue the process.
We're not
Well,
penalizing them for going back, Mr. Brown.
If I could interject, I would like to know who we have serviced, because I see that Mr. Brown is focusing on who he feels and what constituency we have in service. But I'm assuming that there is a group of people that we have serviced through this program.
Yes, Mr. Hunter,
Right
we
now.
have serviced a group of individuals, and that total that is on that report reference that 11,000. Let me just pull up that report so I can get to it.
Okay, it's 29 people. I can tell you, I've looked at it, it's $11,725. That's all that we have been able to, March, April, May, June, July, and August. And those 6 months, 6 into 12 is, I guess we're averaging about $200 a month or something like that.
Mr. Brown, the program, we only started letting money out in July. And
Okay,
last month we had $500 that was sent out at last month's board meeting. This month we got $11,000 that is going out. So we're going to continue to grow that. We're going to continue to take any of your suggestions. We are reaching out to the home buyer agencies. We're working with them hand in hand. We're trying to
Okay.
identify people. We've done some television, some media promotion. So we've seen an uptick in that. So, as Ms. Brown said, we hear you loud and clear, and we'd like to continue working this process. There are some
do
kinks
we need a motion to make this retroactive to individuals who's lost their job during that time? Since we only started the program in February, there were people in March, April, and May that did not take. Do we need to revise? I'm asking Ms. Jada, do we need to revise the program guidelines to make it retroactive to individuals that might have lost their job during the virus?
Mr. Brown, we'll take another look at the actual guidelines. Staff typically develops those guidelines, but I'll take a look at it. I'm not sure that it's necessary to go back and amend it unless we, strictly prohibit it going, retroactively. In the absence of that type of language, we should be able to move forward on a retroactive basis as you requested.
Okay, well, that's good. I'll report this, the fact that in Councilmanic District B, there were 19 people who have received, and at some point in time, Bianca, offline, if you could give me some idea of the people that took advantage of that in District B, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll follow up with you this week, Mr. Brown, offline, so we can get into a more in-depth discussion about this.
Very good. I won't take up any more. Okay, so that was my only comment. So I guess we'll move for approval of the July 21st, 2020 meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
Yes, I move for the approval.
Second? It's been moved and second that the approval of the July 21st Finance Committee minutes be approved. We go to item B, fiscal year 2019 fiscal audit, the status update.
All right, thank you. I'll provide an update. Good afternoon, committee members. In terms of the audit, the audit is still in process. I know last meeting we're trying to schedule to get a draft completed by the first week of August.
Mm-hmm.
And that initial review of that draft was pushed back, pending a few open items and some validations that's being performed by both of our auditors, PNN and Bruno Intervalon. So I've been working closely with them, and we're working this week to kind of close out those open items and be ready for a draft, hopefully next week, and possibly finalize the actual report by the end of the month. So the goal is to provide you with a review of that final draft as soon as it's available and before the next board meeting, but with the goal to be able to provide that final sign-off at the actual next board meeting and within our approved deadline of September 30th.
September 30th?
Yes.
Okay.
Any questions, comments there?
I have
Could you?
none.
Okay, I'm sorry, Hunter. Was that you, Hunter?
Yeah, I said I have no questions.
Okay, I'm sorry, I guess I do. I looked at your report And can you just give us a briefing before we go into the analysis of the report? Can you just give us a summary in layman's terms of the market update? You started out your report with the market update.
Sure. So we're moving into the actual financial management report section of the agenda. And so, yes, I'll provide an update on the overall market, and then I'll move into the financial status report as of June of 2020. So as it relates to the market, you know, overall uncertainty remains in the economy overall. The economies are restarting slowly. A lot of them are restarting at different paces. I think the market has come to acknowledge that the direction of the economy will depend on the path of the outbreak, the delivery of a stimulus package, of course, and then just overall consumer and corporate behavior. So, as it appears, it's looking like there's a downward motion or downward trend in the data as it relates to COVID, which is very promising. But we know that can possibly take a turn, especially with the reopening of schools. You know, as it relates to the actual stimulus talks, that has stalled. We've seen an attempt to bridge that gap by the president's executive order. However, that's faced with a lot of legal challenges and some roadblocks from lawmakers, which is resulting in little spending and movement at the moment. So, that's definitely something that the market is watching. Locally, it's a different story. You know, we're starting to see a lot of adverse news, a lot of adverse data that's suggesting there may be some severe financial impact in Louisiana, and in New Orleans. We're seeing a lot of local, well-known restaurants. We're seeing businesses closing. We're seeing layoffs there. And there's actually some research from Black Knight that's showing that Louisiana ranks second in the nation amongst the percentage of homeowners that's late on the mortgage payment. So, that is a startling number there. The national average is around 7%. Louisiana is at 11%, second behind Mississippi, which is at 12.5. So if you dig deeper into the cities, New Orleans is at 13%. And then behind New Orleans is Lafayette at 11% and Baton Rouge at 10.6. But New Orleans being on the top is a direct result, of that tourist dependent economy that we have here in New Orleans. So, it's going to be critical to keep an eye on those, just the kind of the signals as we get closer and as this data start to come in. Overall, in terms of the fixed rate market and rates, they're still historically low. The muni market, the space remains, it still has good supply, strong demand. On the mortgage side, we still have record low rates there. We're seeing a lot of refinances. There's a big surge in refinances, but that may be curtailed by a recent announcement by Fannie and Freddie to actually include a new adverse market refinance fee, which is a 0.5 percentage point on all refinances. So, that comes as a way from the agencies as a way to mitigate some of this additional risk brought on by COVID. But it kind of validates, some of the uncertainty in the market by them implementing this additional rate. So, overall, the story just remains the same in terms of just uncertainty. We're trying to key in on some of the local data that's starting to trickle in and get a feel for what's the fallout here in New Orleans. As we know, it's going to be an outlier in terms of, in terms of the overall market. New Orleans is just going to stand out. So, I've been recently involved in these weekly impact calls with Ms. Morris and the Housing NOLA and some other partners and stakeholders. And so we've been sharing ideas to try to get an idea how to get to this data and how to analyze it so we can put our heads together to come up with a solution. So it's been very impactful so far.
So that relationship, she adding you on to that committee, that's working out real good, Brian?
It is. it's been 2 weeks. I've been on the last 2 calls, and we've really been able to touch on or get some data, around just the late, the amount of people that the mortgages locally here, and are they paying their mortgage on time? We've been able to gather some census data, and so we're trying to analyze that data and actually put together a package. So, but it's been very impactful. They're very helpful.
One question, the $24 million that was allocated, is that statewide or was that local? She had $24 million, of which, of course, she put out the first and received 40,000 people in terms of applicants. I'm talking about the rental program, and I'm not addressing the mortgage subsidy program for those mortgage holders. Is that the 24 million that she received? She put the first tranche out, 7 million. She received 40,000 applicants. Of course, if you divide 40,000 into 24 million, you don't get a number that's sufficient to take care of the population. Do you know whether or not that's the case or not?
I do not have information on that, Mr. Brown, actually.
All right, then if we're not going to address that, maybe that's something we'll look into, would you please? Because as I mentioned to her, my prayers are with her. They've given her an impossible task, impossible to take care of 40,000 applicants with such a small amount of money. And for rental assistance, and when you talk about mortgage subsidy, it's even more horrible. But I wanted to address something locally. I gave a call to our competitors. I don't call them our competitors. They're people like we are. The Jefferson Parish Finance Authority. It has put in ads on, I'm talking about the local market now. And I had a review of their products that they're offering for first-time home buyers. They're offering 3% down payment and closing cost assistance, and that's with the with the HUD product. With the Freddie Mae product, I think they're offering, and I'm not absolutely certain, Byron, this is more your area, but they're offering 4%. You can either get a 3% down payment and closing cost assistance or a 4% down payment and closing cost assistance, one of the two. But they also have been able to get a UDAG grant through the Department of Agriculture that can subsidize. Are you familiar with that?
I am not familiar with that particular grant, but I can definitely look into that.
I'd appreciate if you would, because even though they're offering that in Jefferson Parish, we'd like to offer a similar product like that from the Finance Authority of New Orleans, even though we're deeply involved in some of the wonderful, and I mean wonderful things that I've been able to read about you all with the Sheffield project, with the McDonough 13 on a larger scale. But let us not forget about the smaller scale, which is our home buyer assistance training program that a person must attend, just like it is in Jefferson. The down payment and closing cost assistance program that we have, and advertising that, and getting individuals involved. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. We'll definitely look into that.
Okay. Any questions?
Any other questions?
Not for myself.
Okay.
We'll move into,
Well,
and I'm sorry, I kind of jumped ahead there, going from B to A.
No, that's
But
all right.
under the fiscal management report, which is one of the last items that we have, except for the executive session and adjournment, the fiscal status report. And some of it, I might add, I'm making the request of Byron and Mr. Burns, that if you all could possibly send us out these board packets the Friday, at latest the Saturday, before the board meeting, for us to be able to digest this information and also to make positive comments about it. I made the mistake of downloading the 68 pages that's in our board packet. And if we could get that FedEx to us, or a courier service, Burns is good, Cut and Grill, get an agency to deliver those packages to our homes, since we're working basically from home now. Because it's a, you know, these 68 pages plus the Finance Authority, Finance Committee report is quite a bit of information. So I was hoping that I could make that request from you, sir.
No problem, Mr. Brown. And I'm sorry, we are aiming to get it out to you the Friday before the board meeting. That is our goal. But otherwise, we can get a physical copy.
Okay.
In advance. That's not a problem.
All right, Mr. Baggett, could you go into the report, looking at the first page, which is our
Yeah, so I'll
fiscal
I'll give
status
you,
report. Yes, sir.
okay, so yes, looking at the first page is this provides a comprehensive snapshot of the actual year-to-date versus the budgeted year-to-date revenues and expenses up to June of this year. So as of June, you'll see the actual revenues were 68,000 to a budget of 104,000. The actual expenses were 701,000 to a budget of 947,000. That's favorable to budget by 245. So in turning to page two kind of provides a look into the revenue components that are driving those numbers. So the downward variance to budget is primarily driven by the multifamily revenue that has not been generated yet, but is projected to come very soon as we look to launch these various programs.
Would that be anticipated? Would that be anticipated? I don't mean to cut you off. Would that be anticipated from some of the projects that we might be approving at today's board meeting that you asked for approval?
Yes, that is, and you know, we kind of budgeted for about 5 pilots in terms of just revenue generated from the pilot, about 5 pilot deals, 5 pilot deals.
Okay.
And so we have 2 upcoming, and we have a pipeline of developers presenting. So these first 2, if all goes well, will be the first that you'll start to see that revenue kind of come in from those pilot deals.
Outstanding report on that. Do you anticipate the potential revenues from one or both of those projects?
We do at this time. You know, we still, you know, the projects have been going through underwriting, but we do anticipate revenue from those projects.
Are we sharing that revenue with the city, or will it be something that would be directly to the authority?
No, that pilot revenue will be shared with the city.
I see. Proportionately,
Yeah.
on a percentage basis?
Well, we're still trying to finalize the pricing of the pilots because we want to leverage the revenue and possibly look into some securitization. So that means we may have to reevaluate how we're pricing it. So, but ideally, it will be it'll be 2 components, with a piece going to the city, a piece staying with the Finance New Orleans.
Okay. What we're trying to do, of course, always when at some point in time, I don't know about you all, but at some point in time, they're going to question us. When I say they, I'm saying the city council, those are our people that we basically work for, not the mayor, but, you know, they're going to question the fact that we have large employee salaries and benefits, you know, and we're going to have to justify that at some point. And as soon as we can get some resources and income, and I'm thinking all in about yourself and the rest of your staff, that we be able to answer that question and answer them directly and show them directly the positive things that we're doing in the community to affect large-scale projects like this, small-scale project, and even if our salaries are high, we are providing a community service to this community, and we are providing benefits. You know, $1, if it turns over 5 times in our community, You know, $1 can equal 5, $100,000 can equal 500,000. And that's why I ask those questions. But it's not that I'm trying to be anything but positive as it relates itself to the authority, and I hope you can appreciate that.
No, we definitely understand, and then that higher amount that you see there is an investment and in the ability to scale up and get these programs off the ground. So we're making that initial investment today. It's inflated, we know that, but it's an investment on future generating programs and revenue. But also just, and speaking to that, on the next page, if you look at our expenses, we've been very, we're favorable on every line item. We've been very prudent in, just in terms of our spending and, our marketing efforts. We have some vacancies, so we haven't been rushed to, fulfill the salaries line. We've been very prudent as we get these programs started. So, but you'll see as evident on page 3, there's just a lot, mostly favorable in terms of expenses. So there's still some savings at this point.
I see.
All
Is Stacy still with the agency, or I think that Ms. Mickey has been promoted to executive assistant? Damon?
Yeah, Stacy actually recently resigned from the organization, so she's no longer with us.
Question, was she on unemployment?
No. We actually not able to talk about that on the public.
Oh,
meeting.
okay. Very good. Thank you, sir. All right, let's continue. I'm sorry, Brian.
Okay. So moving to page 4, this provides a look at the revenues and expenses and the pathways portfolio. No activity here. There's minimal changes month over month. Maybe a slight increase in the expense side, but revenues are at 30,000 year to date. Expenses 23,000 year to date. Page 5 just kind of looks, takes a detailed look at the trending.
Please start numbering these pages, man. Okay.
They're not numbered on yours? Oh, okay. Yeah.
No.
Right.
I downloaded the whole 68 pages, but it's not keeping up with you. I'm gonna try to flip them as you call them. Page 1, 2.
I apologize. I will make sure they.
Give me what the subtitle is, and I can be sure I'm with you, sir.
Sure. So the page, the pathways, revenues, and expenses page.
Man. Oh, yeah. I'm missing that. I saw it, I read it, but I don't.
So it's the 4th page from the beginning of the report.
Okay, market update.
So market update.
Operating fund revenue analysis is page 3. Operating fund expense analysis, is that your page 4?
That's my page 3, right? Okay, so the next page
Page
after
3.
that
Put
should
it
be
down. I got it on mine now. Page 3. What is page 4? Pathway. Got it.
pathways, right?
Yes, sir.
So now so the next page we're on is the operating fund analysis by month. It's the following page.
Right. If you could, the next time, it's so small and tiny, you have to understand I'm an old man. If you could either do that for me, set it up in an Excel or set it up in Latitude, because it's very, very tiny. It's hard for me to even read it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So this page, overall just gives a look at our historical revenues and expenses which are all within average, with a few line items that have some timing of expenses coming in. The next page is the balance sheet comparison page, which looks at our year-to-date balance sheet with the operating fund versus the prior year balance sheet. With the minimal activity, there's no, it's pretty stable. There's no big changes here. And then the last page is the summary of cash accounts by fund. And so the cash overall is 11.2, which is a slight decrease from the prior month of 11.3. And that's essentially the expenses that drove that change.
11? Okay, I'm sorry. Under the balance sheet comparison, for example, in June of 2019, our assets were 634,000. Looking at it, total checking balance, and now it's 1 million.
No, so
86,000.
you're looking at the cash. So if you look at that on a balance sheet comparison, our cash last year was $694,120. Our cash, you got it. Cash year to date for June 20 is 1.1. If you move to the next page,
Oh,
and you
next
look at
page.
that,
You didn't go to another page. Okay, we're going to the next page. All right, I'm sorry. You didn't go. So we on page 5 now. Because I was looking at.
yeah.
Okay, I'm
Or
sorry.
if you're looking at
That's
the title, it says,
I wasn't following it. I got it now.
yeah, it says summary of cash accounts by fund. If you look at that first line item that shows the operating cash 1.1, that's the same thing that was on the balance sheet. But overall,
Got it.
our total cash is 11.2.
Got it. Robert,
All right. That's all I have in terms for the financial status report.
Any questions or comments? Connor?
None. Can you hear me?
Yes?
I said none.
Okay. All right, then that concludes the light items and the agenda items. We look like we're right on time. We're 3 minutes before 3 o'clock. Do we have any need for an executive session, Mr. Executive Director?
No, sir.
Okay. All right.
I
Any
move
questions,
to adjourn. I'm sorry.
Any questions or comments from the public?
No, still none at this time.
All right. Legal counsel, everything is in order?
Yes, sir. You just need to request a motion to adjourn.
All right. The temporary chair requests that we'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
It's not debatable. All right. Enjoy, you all.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I need to speak with Tamia to see about my attendance at the board meeting. I guess this would be the way for me to do it. But I'm also requesting our persons that I guess we have under contract, a guy by the name of Byron Martin and another guy, Joshua, that's on board, that I received some technical assistance because we spent another hour on the day. Either it's the computer not doing that, I'm not able to review this on my computer. So if you could get in touch with those guys that are on board and have them contact, I appreciate it. My name is listed on there, under the 19 people that are authorized on board, but I'm not able to view it online.
Okay, well, I'm not sure if Tamia is on or not, but I'll relay the message for her to get in touch with you.
Appreciate it, Mr. B. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah, what I'm gonna say? Yeah, I'm about to speak with both of them. Yeah, to let them know to go to the 3 o'clock,